Right here, I have the Marzocco Linea Mini R home espresso machine. I'm going to do a full review looking at all the specs and covering why this machine might be the best one for you at home. We are really fortunate to be here in the Marzocco Australia Sydney showroom, and we get to play with all this gear because we are the roaster in residence for this month. And we thought we'd take a moment to review the Linea Mini R because it's something we've been playing with for a little bit, and I know there's been a lot of talk about this machine, but as we get to use it more, I think a few of the details haven't been expressed properly as to why this could be a wonderful high-end Italian-made in Florence, Italy machine for you at home. So let's cover a few of these things. We're going to make a coffee as well, so stick with me. I hope I answer all of your questions. So the Linea Mini R is the second version of the Mini. Essentially, it's been updated. It's been a classic. I think it came around in 2014, and a lot of the updates in here is what the public have been asking for. So as we quickly overview it, we do have a dual boiler machine. The rear boiler is a 3-litre boiler. The front is a 1.7-litre boiler. It's an integrated boiler to the group head. So essentially very close proximity to the head while you're changing the water essentially. Those temperatures are fully adjustable by an app that you can connect with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. You've got your rotary pump, so it can be plumbed in, or you can use the inbuilt tank, which is hidden under the drip tray here. There's some great improvements on the drip tray and the tank. So you can actually now fully remove your water tank. The lid comes off. You can take it away, wash it, and bring it back now. So that's a fantastic addition. In terms of the drip tray, there is this new overfill indicator. So once it's full, you know that you can go and empty that out in the sink. So when you do start to fill that up with water, there's a little red tag which will start to float and pop up through the grill of the drip tray, so you don't overflow and flood your beautiful kitchen. The addition of the shot timer is one of the big things everyone was wanting to have in here so that you could really time and get your recipes spot on. We do have a new version lever here. Essentially, if you slide it to the left, it will start to brew and you can shut that off. It's got the integrated water button, which will basically flash when you're out of water, or you've got your red light, which will flash while it's heating up. Once it's solid red, you know the machine is ready to go. Integrated at the same time is the new, I guess, tactile feel knobs. So you've got your hot water tap on the side and your steam tap. This is a nice silky sort of feel. It doesn't feel as plasticky as previous models. You do have your full cool touch wand as well, and there's 2 tips now. So you've got a stainless steel traditional style tip, or you do have this new polymer tip as well. The polymer means that it's not going to be hot as well, so a little bit safer there. Yep. You do have your Marzocco group handle here. Now this is definitely a significant change for Marzocco. You now have an all-in-one. You used to get a single handle or a double handle, but now you have a naked or integrated single or double spout options for your group handle. Now a lot of talk about this. Essentially, by having it a smaller size, you're going to have a much quicker heat up time. So you can get to that espresso a lot quicker, which is fantastic. People have been saying they want to have, you know, the double spout and single spout, and it should have been included. Well, this wasn't a cheaper option for Marzocco to do it. It's a high-grade food polymer, which actually costs a lot more than stainless steel. It's definitely easier to clean, and from a food-safe perspective, it's definitely a better outcome than the stainless steel that is in there. And you've now got the options to be able to have single, double, or naked. So I guess that when you look at that, it's quite a good outcome for the home user to have that flexibility. Now, Marzocco has allowed you access to the rotary pump to increase or decrease that pressure. On the back here, it's very simple. There's a screw which goes down to the actual screw on the rotary pump where you can increase or decrease that pressure. So I think that's a really cool addition to allow people to have that availability. Essentially, from that screwdriver, you could pressure profile. I'm sure we're going to see some hacks on how that can be integrated to be a much cooler option, perhaps even a little pressure gauge. Then I'm sure all those 3D CAD guys out there are making something right now, because that's a really good accessible feature that everyone was screaming for in the previous Mini. You've got your 2 gauges. Your left-hand side is your pump pressure. So when you're running, it should be on that 9 bar at full pressure. On the right-hand side, you've got your steam. Now, why would they show you that steam? Well, inside the app, there is a lot more control in this machine. You can now change your steam pressure from setting 1, 2, or 3, and I think those variables are somewhere about 1.2 bar up to about 1.4. 4 bar. This one's on number 3 setting, and it's sitting at about 1.6 bar. So if you're not familiar with that amount of steam, you can reduce it while you're learning or pump it up when you're a little bit more experienced. Now, La Marzocco's are known for having a heap of steam. There is no doubt this thing definitely has plenty of steam. So that is a great feature to allow someone who's a little bit more novice, perhaps in their espresso making, to learn to grow, and the machine will have that technical support as you get better at frothing milk. So the dimensions of the machine, you're looking at a height of 381, a width of 356, and a depth of 457. The machine weighs 30 kilos, so it definitely is a stable machine on your bench, and it does have a normal 10 amp power supply as well. Because it does have the rotary pump, you can plumb this into a mains water connection. You're definitely going to need a filtration system and a plumber to do that as well, because there are some complexities around connecting a hard plumbed water device in your home, or you can simply run it from the tank. If you run it from the tank and it runs out of water, in the top here, the shot timer will say H2O, and the blue little water light will flash at you, telling you that you're out of water, which puts that machine into a protect mode, so you don't have to really worry about the machine causing any issues. It knows that it's out of water. When you've got it plumbed in, it's going to assume essentially that you have water all the time, but there are some safeties that are in there to basically be a redundant feature to make sure that the machine is looked after if it does run out of water from the mains as well. So they're all the basics about the new Linea Mini R. Now, what makes this machine a little bit more special is the flexibility that you can change inside the app. You can now have an auto wash, which basically means once you've finished your extraction, you remove the grip handle out, you need to flush. So if you go quickly left and right, it will actually go for 3 seconds. Now that is a time that's fully adjustable in the app. You can go 1 second, I think up to 9 seconds. So that's a really cool feature. You can also do your automatic chemical clean. So you can pop in your blind basket, your chemical, and you can run that process through the app as well. You would use that app to set the timer to turn the machine on or off in the morning, change the rear boiler temperature or the front brew boiler temperature as well. And there's a whole other range of different things that you can play with in there. So there are a lot of features that are really great that we see in commercial machines to have here in the home espresso machine, the Linea Mini R. So that's the basics. So if you're looking at this video right now and thinking, is it the right machine or not for me? Well, look, that's probably going to help you with the general overview, but there's certainly some extra tech inside. The biggest one is how the front brew boiler works from the rear boiler. Now, there's things called Pre Brew or Pre Infusion, and essentially they are the difference between how much pressure is applied to the coffee puck, how long that's applied for, and whether that is a constant pressure or a reducing pressure. Now, the easy way to look at this is if you plumb this in, you're going to have the maximum pressure available. If you're going to run off the water tank, essentially you could have a reducing pressure. And that's usually what they refer to as a pre-wet or a pre-brew. A pre-infusion is really sitting around the sustained amount of pressure being applied to that coffee puck. So what La Marzocco have done is there is a solenoid that turns on to allow the water onto the top of the coffee puck. Now previously, essentially it would just stop. And because you'd applied a water pressure, let's say 9 bar or people like a 3 bar, onto that top of the coffee puck, basically it was releasing to atmosphere. So that pressure was going to basically head down to 0. And then you would turn the machine back on and hit it with 9 bar of pressure. And essentially the stability of that coffee puck was going to start to change, and people either loved or didn't like that. So by adding another solenoid valve in there, essentially what it does is doesn't allow that pressure from the first solenoid to go back to atmosphere, which will reduce to 0. It will maintain the pressure that has been applied already. So if it was a 3 bar or a 9 bar, whatever you had your rotary pump set at, it will hold that pressure, maybe hold a bit more stability in that pre-infusion phase, and then essentially allow you to brew that full shot. The question is, to pre-brew, to pre-wet, or pre-infusion? That is the big question. Well, you've got all the flexibility here in the Linea Mini R to make that decision yourself, depending on the roast, the bean, or what you want to get out of the coffee. In the Mini, they've actually got a water bypass or a heat exchange that goes past the rear boiler. So when the water enters into the front boiler, it's going to be above 70, maybe 80 degrees by the time it actually gets into that front boiler. And the temperature probe for the PID is actually right at the point of the brew screw. So pretty much as the water's going on top of the coffee, It's where they're measuring the temperature, and that's how they can adjust to make sure you get the exact temperature that you're after in the machine. Now, one of the biggest talked about features with the Linea Mini R is the connectivity between an Acaia scale. Now, it isn't just the normal Acaia scale that you might have already had. It is definitely a collaborative product between Marzocco and Acaia, so you do have to buy this specific one, and it will then allow you to brew by weight. So you essentially pick your recipe, and as you start to dial, the scale will recognize the end yield that you're getting in your cup and shut off to the gram weight that you've specified. Now, I've been using it for a little bit, and I guess it is a little bit hit and miss sometimes. And to me, I've been trying to work out why. Because on the commercial machines, we know it works seamless. So what it comes down to is once you get a few of your brews and you've got it all dialed in, it will then be great. But if you're in the process of essentially changing grind or dose and you keep going forward and backwards, it doesn't have the ability to learn. And it is a little bit different between whether you've got the spouts single or double attached to the group head or whether it's naked. So there is a lot of liquid that gets caught in those double and single spouts that it has to cater for, and then you've got the coffee that's in flight or in the air. So some more accuracy by removing those, it will just cut straight off with a naked basket, and essentially you'll get a better, closer result. So before I make a coffee, there is one other accessory that's just being released, I think later in the year. It's going to be about $150, is the new improved grill for the drip tray. It allows you to pop that Acaia scale in. It reduces the height in between the group head and the drip tray, so you can fit a bit of a larger mug in there. And again, if you removed the double or single spouts, you'll have a lot more head because you've got a naked portafilter as well. So that's a pretty cool addition. I'm going to fit that now and we'll make a coffee. So let's make a coffee. I'm going to clean and dry my handle because it is nice and hot. You want to make sure that that's spot on. And again, that's why that thermal stability is a lot quicker and easier. I'm just using the Pico grinder here, and we're going to dial in 22.5 grams of coffee. The Pico grinder is a great match to the Linea Mini R. It's a conical burr grinder. We do have a video on this one in particular if you want to know a bit more about it. We're pretty happy with it. The lower retention and the flavor profile from the grinder is really good. Just get a little quick top up to our recipe, 22.5 grams. There we go, spot on. I'm not going to do any puck preparation at all. I'm just going to keep it pretty simple and plain for you, where we're going to do a little bit of hand distributing. You can use your WDT or whatever you may do, and that's going to give you better results, there's no doubt. But I'm trying to keep the tools that you get with the machine here, so keep that experience. They do come with the curved tamper as well, which does make it channel into the middle. So it does help you make those beautiful looking shots that everyone likes to see. But for me personally, a flat tamper would be nice to see. I'm going to pop in the scale. It does fit pretty nice there, it's nice and low. If you did have two cups being split, it doesn't actually hit on the side. We had to play with that. So you can fit two wide if you are splitting and measuring if that's what you're after. I'll pop in our group handle, tear off the scale, and I'm going to just manually brew here. So we're going to go for our 45 gram yield. And from all the coffees we've been making, there's not a big difference between a commercial machine and the domestic machine. We are pretty impressed about how well this can extract coffee, the flexibility we can have with the temperature, and make our coffee taste great. So if you are using the spouts, you want to stop it off a little bit earlier. It does have that longer sort of run happening there, but on the naked, it's certainly a lot quicker. What's the steam like? Well, I did mention earlier that you can have 3 different settings on the steam boiler. We are on the maximum, number 3. It's super powerful. It's quite a dry steam, so I do like it, and it allows me to get really silky milk. So we'll get that milk spinning, increase that little hiss. The Cool Touch wand is beautiful. These are just one of the best steam wands I've worked on. The jug's nice as well. This comes in the kit. And I don't mind the little plastic tip. I know we've been used to the stainless steel, but to be honest, it's a high-grade polymer. It is nice not knowing I'm going to burn myself with that. That is super silky, glossy milk. I'm very happy with it. Let's see what we can pour out. So it's pretty nice to pour out of. The milk was good, the espresso was good, just, you know, stuffing up a little bit under pressure on camera. Anyway, so it's a beautiful machine. I do like it. I like the improvements from the original one. You can see the progressions that they had with original brains and then going to an IoT or the internet connected brain versions to end up here with the Linea Mini R. I think it's a great progression. It is solid, it is durable. The word plastic, you know, it's not plastic, it's a high grade polymer. It actually costs Marzocco more to do. So where they've used it, I think that's a smart outcome. So overall, for me, it is a winner. I really do like the Marzocco machines, and I do see this machine being something I could have in my own home. And I think, where do we go from here? Well, I don't know, maybe some more upgrades to the app, maybe a bit more flexibility, yeah, just seeing what the future holds. I'm not really sure where they're going to go now, because I didn't think when the Mini came out many years ago that they could go smaller, and they did. They went to the Micra, and now they've been able to improve the Mini as well. So, you know, the team at Marzocco, well done. Attention to detail is fantastic, and that handmade Italian feel is definitely there. The finishing touches are very good. The paintworks are really nice. You've now got integrated coloured back splashbacks as well. So they're definitely looking at the detail and making sure you get that beautiful Italian feel. Covering the topic of price, well, in Australia, the Linea Mini R is $8,499, and that's delivered anywhere in Australia. The Pico sits at $1,499. The Acaia scale with the collaboration with Marzocco is $600, and the additional tray that we have here is $150. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what the whole package would cost you. Anyway, if you've got any other questions, leave a comment down below. Happily answer those for you. Thanks very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. Certainly would appreciate it. And there are a whole range of other videos on the Marzocco home range as well. So check those out. If this machine is maybe a bit too big for you, have a look at the Micra. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.